Village of DeForest Development Authority to order. And we need to take roll call too. Okay. I'd ask that we take roll call. Okay. And then would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Okay, let's see. Thank you. Any announcements? All right. And so I guess new business. We need to elect a chairperson. Wait,
Sorry, let's go to 5.1 first for the minutes.
Oh, approval. Sorry, guys. So 5.1 would be approval of February 12th, 2026 meetings. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make that motion.
A second.
All right. All those in favor say yay. Yay. Aye.
Oh, the mic.
It's going to be a little rough this time, guys. Well,
First time through, no, we're learning.
Sorry.
everybody good? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. All right. Next item is appearances. Do we have any appearances?
No, we do not, I don't believe, although we've got one phone number online, which I'm assuming that's Keith. Keith, or whoever's online with a phone number, would you mind just unmuting it? I guess telling us if you're Keith. Okay, I guess no appearances.
So I'm gonna not put Keith on the roll call unless he comes back online with his name, if that is okay.
All right. On to item 7.1, new business, potential action to elect a chairperson for the Community Development Authority. I'll open the floor to nominations.
I'd like to nominate Alicia to be our chairperson for the CDA.
I second.
I second that too.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 Hey, congratulations to me. Awesome. Item 7.2 will be election of a vice chairperson. So I'll open that up, the floor to nominations.
I will just mention a few things here. So by our bylaws, which we're trying to keep into compliance here, so we've got to have a chair. Historically, we haven't necessarily been operating with a vice chair until Alicia served in the vice chair role. So in the interest of continuing to be in compliance with our bylaws, we'll now, with you moving into the chairperson role, we'll be looking to elect the vice chair. And I will just say that I have reached out to try to see if anybody would be willing. And I think if anybody wants to make a motion to nominate Sheila, I think she'd be willing to assume that role. Not putting you in the voluntold position, but
I will make that motion. Second that.
All those in favor say aye.
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 All right. I'd say motion passes, right? Motion carries.
LaShawn.
All right, the next item on the agenda will be item 7.3, update and discussion regarding a second amendment, update and discussion on the Yahara Crossing development. So I'll turn it over to Alex.
yeah, so through a quick memo in the packet, after we had the rejection of the 9% tax credit application, I did re-engage with Baker Tilly, who I think I had mentioned they had done a preliminary review before we submitted on scoring and things like that. So worked with them and I'm still working with them to do a feasibility analysis of a 4% non-competitive deal, and really wanted to have this sort of preliminary engagement with them before looking at potentially a larger consulting role, which we kind of talked about at the last meeting. We had a different consultant online for that. But before we go too far down that road, I just wanted to kind of re-envision the project here as a 4% non-competitive. So as an update to that work, as we kind of have been revising things, a couple other financial gaps, I guess, have presented themselves or come to light from what our previous consultant had modeled. So as we currently have it configured, we're sitting at a gap of approximately like 2.9 million, so just under $3 million gap in funding. And we haven't had the feasibility analysis finalized yet. As soon as I do get that finalized, I'll probably just email it along to you all so that you can take a peek at what that looks like as well. But what that means is we need to somehow close a $2.9 million gap. And so there's a couple ways that we can look at doing that. As you all know, we are continuing to progress on the design development of the project. I'm hoping to have the design development phase finalized by the end of March so that we get our construction management company that we have on hand the opportunity to reprice that and get us some updated budgeting numbers. So that's one thing that we're going to look at. Early feedback from Baker Tilly was that we were a little bit high on hard costs for construction. So as we kind of refine some of that, maybe we'll see those numbers come down. I would be a little bit surprised because nothing in construction ever goes down. But you know, we'll certainly see. We have made some shifts in design strategy from an energy efficiency standpoint because we're no longer going for some of the competitive points. So that will result in some reduced costs too. Additionally, we're looking at, well, as you all know, and it's on the agenda later, potentially selling some additional CDA facilities to bring in capital as well. Be great to say that solves the gap. And certainly, as you all know, some of those numbers would, but we can't really rely on that right now. So all of this is to say, with a non-competitive structure to this, the 4% tax credits, there is a funding gap that we need to solve that wouldn't have been there in the 9%. So I'll continue to kind of flesh that out and send it over to you for review once it's available. But there's a couple of different components to this that I want to get your feedback on tonight. And they're kind of bulleted there in the memo. The first would be, we've envisioned this project as an elderly facility, senior 55 and up facility. And part of that was for scoring for the tax credits as well. With not having to score those points, we can open that up to more than just seniors if we desired to do that. So I'd welcome your feedback on that. I will say that if we open it up to the general population, it increases our market for tenants, and it doesn't preclude us from having seniors in the building. The impact to the senior population that would be in the building would be they would have to share the common areas in the space in general with younger tenants. Our mix is 1 bedrooms and 2 bedrooms, so it's likely there certainly could be children in the building. I know that currently at 509 that we manage and used to own, there was always some discussion as to whether or not, you know, some of these or elderly folks wanted to have kids running around the building and have that noise. Some, on the flip side of that, some folks really liked it too. So there's two sides of that coin. So that's one thing that I'd like your suggestion and input on. The other would be, we had discussed previously maintaining the veterans units. That was for scoring. Certainly there's no reason why we couldn't do that still. I think it's a nice facet to the development, but we no longer are pursuing that for scoring purposes. So I just wanted to bring that up to either confirm or say, you know, we want to move away from that. And then lastly would be the overall mix of affordable housing units. Previously, we had this project configured, again, for scoring purposes, to have 36 of the 62 units held affordable to 30% area median income, which we're still planning to do. And then the remaining units were, the vast majority of them were held at 60% affordability AMI. And I think there was like a handful of 50%, so a little bit lower. In order, again, that was for scoring, in order to maximize, I guess, the operational income and make this a little bit more feasible from a financing standpoint. The way that I'm now approaching it is still keeping those 36 units of deep subsidy units, so the 30% AMI units, but then having the remainder of the building be up to 80% AMI, which is a higher level of affordability. So it opens it up to people of a higher income. 80% is still that threshold for affordable housing or low income housing. So they're all still 100%, it's 100% affordable housing building. It just is not as deep of a subsidy. And I know that when we've done some housing planning in the past, there were two sort of priority populations. One was affordable housing for seniors, and then the other was affordable housing for workforce in general, which personally, I think opening it up to a little bit higher affordability, not only does it help with financial feasibility, but it also potentially opens it up to a larger swath of the workforce. So I'll pause there and take any comments on any of that. How about we'll start with, to hone in, start with the maintaining designation as senior only or opening it up. Obviously not precluding anybody, but opening it up.
I still think it should be senior only.
That's Keith.
Okay.
Okay.
Do we feel like we have question? Okay. Do we feel like we have enough seniors to get the capacity that we need, like get the building rented out though?
So we did, to submit for the competitive cycle, and we'll have to do it again, get an update to it. We had to have a market study done. And that market study was based on a senior only, so 55 and up. And there's a significant demand for that. So, I don't think it would be a particular issue.
When it comes to, my question kind of goes back a little bit, when it comes to the 4% credits, is there anything that we have to take into account when that gets to be scored, or?
So the 4% doesn't have a competitive scoring piece. It just has what's called threshold requirements. So as long as we're meeting the affordability threshold requirements, then we can apply. And none of these points of considerations here will affect our threshold requirements.
Got it.
If we do change it to a mix, like, does it change any construction, building?
That's a good point. So if we opened it up to more than just seniors, we would no longer be required to have things like handrails in the hallway or different. So yes, there would be a constructability or a construction impact, and it would reduce some of the things that we would need to do. I think we may want to do those anyway, just because it's likely that we will have some seniors in the building anyway, especially knowing that our current population, our current tenants at 509, any of those folks who would want to move over and relocate to the new building are generally an older population too. So there may be some impact on construction, but it would probably be limited. And we'd still be designing to ADA standards too.
So my preference would be to keep it 55 and up if possible, unless we have trouble finding enough tenants. And I would still like to see veteran space in there as well, unless again, we have trouble filling those spaces and they could be offered to someone else. Could we be flexible on that, the amount then of veteran space?
Yes.
Before we had a minimum.
That's correct. Before it was either 7 or 9, 7, I think it was 7 units that we had set aside. yes, we can 100% be flexible with that.
I think, really to keep the integrity of the building, I'd like to see that space stay as senior housing as well. Just I have teenagers there. Um, not that, and really where that is located, it's close to the senior center. I think that's our most vulnerable population, and if the need is there, I think that's where we need to start with just dedicating that space. Um, as we go forward, I like to see us grow, but I think for this one, I would say, let's keep it as senior housing. And also I'd like to keep, the veteran units as well.
The only thing I was gonna say is, when we did the study, what is the demand that we're not filling for like our workforce?
So the market study that we had specific to this building didn't evaluate anything beyond the seniors. But when I was referencing the housing studies, so we had done a series of activities 2024, I believe, where we had some focus groups that included seniors, it included folks from like the fire department, school district, it included some of our employers and small businesses as well. And so I think we heard from a lot of those folks that there was workforce needs.
But we don't know the scale.
Don't know the scale. Yeah, it's hard to quantify that, I would say.
I'm comfortable with keeping this as 55 plus, but just putting a pin in this, that there is, I think, a problem. If our teachers can't afford to live in the community and
Yep.
such, that's something down the road we think about.
Yep. Okay. I think I have general clarity. Is there anybody who's maybe has a different opinion from any of that? No, generally aligned. What about on the mix of affordable housing units? And I will say that I definitely would like to hear your thoughts on it. But given some of the comments about maintaining this as a senior only building, I'm just gonna have to connect, I think, circle back with Baker Tilly to see how that is going to fit with the 80% AMI, just from a market standpoint. But in terms of just the high level mix of affordable housing units, how did you feel about switching from, I guess, an overall that is a little bit on the more affordable level to opening it up to higher? I don't know if I should be saying higher levels of affordability or lower levels of affordability.
I guess what would help me make that decision is like if I could see, I know it's a percentage, but what we're talking about, what that would look like on a dollar value.
Sure. Let me see if I could pull something up real fast. Bear with me.
Can I ask a clarifying question? Okay, so if we have residents there, does just one of the residents needs to be 55?
The household. So if there's a two-person household, the head of household, I believe, has to be 55 and up. But also I will say, so we currently operate Jefferson Square this way, and Jay, chime in if I'm screwing this up, because we've gone through this a few times. It's 80% of the overall development has to be, or the overall building has to be 55 and up in order to stay in compliance with federal fair housing law. If you had a unit or two, or I guess 20% of the folks in there were under that 55, you'd still be in compliance. Did I get that right, Jay?
That's the way I understand it also, Alex.
Okay. So I pulled up, this is from 2025, the median income levels AMI for Dane County. So for a single person household, let me get out a calculator here because I'm not going to be able to do this. Carol could probably, she's already got it figured out. So we will be having single person household and two-person households. Single person household in Dane County AMI in 2025 was 90,000. So 80% AMI would, for a single person, would be somebody earning up to 72,000, whereas 60% would be somebody earning up to 54,000. So the difference for a single person would be opening it up from, or restricting it, having the restriction level be income at 54,000, affordable to somebody at 54,000, all the way up to 72,000, if I'm saying that correctly. And then for a two-person household, 80% would be 82,000, and 60% would be 61,000. And for reference, 30% in a single person household is 27,000. So the distinction would be, or the difference between, oops, I lost my screen here. The difference between what we were doing before and what is being proposed now is changing roughly 60% of the building from being affordable to folks earning 54,000 to 62,000, to upping that to folks earning 72,000 to 83,000.
Mine's spinning, but I
I
would,
know it's a lot of numbers.
I would just be curious to see the mix of people coming, what they're earning now, right? Are we gonna be adversely affecting anybody who's wanting to move there if we're upping the or I guess the percentage? Because I don't know, back from my insurance days, I think 72 on a fixed income is still quite a bit.
It is.
Um,
It is. And Dane County, I mean, that's why Dane County gets a lot of folks trying to develop LIHTC and affordable housing, because the incomes are so high that they can, I mean, this is outside of our project. This is just general good things to know. Income is so high that they can get good rents for still doing affordable housing. The one thing that I will say is, by getting it up to 80% AMI, it certainly wouldn't preclude us from renting units to anybody who doesn't earn exactly 80%. Like if they're earning less, they're certainly still eligible for those units. It's just a matter of, it allows us to increase the people who are eligible for it. And again, I think it's good just to get a sense of where you all stand on this, but I'm gonna have to go back to Baker Tilly to see how that 80% AMI fits with a senior designated building, because certainly you could have folks who are no longer income earning, retired, essentially, being in this building, and then figuring out how that matches up with the criteria.
So we don't have to put a percentage on this, right?
No, definitely not asking for a percentage, just more asking for, I guess, conceptually, do we want this to be a building that has greater levels of affordability, meaning is restricted to people who don't earn as much, or opening it up to folks who earn a little bit more? And I say it doesn't hit workforce, but it still does, to be honest, because workforce is still 55 and over, right? So
Um, I'm comfortable with this. I obviously want to serve folks that need, to have affordable housing the most, but yeah, I watch folks that are making, this amount, still struggling immensely to be able to make things work. And I don't think it's a bad thing to have a mix, of folks in an environment together.
Mhm.
So I tend to always want to see more natural proportions wherever, we are. So I'm comfortable with going up to that much, but would be very much be open to what others are thinking.
And, I'm not asking for any definitive answers just right now, just sort of a general sense. And then I can come back to you all with a little bit more information on how that all fits together.
Yeah, I would agree with Sheila. I think having a mix, I think it's just in general good. I just don't like segmentation based on income and a lot of other stuff. I think it's good for.
Okay.
And we are not precluding anyone.
Okay. Well, I'll plan to bring back more information, just so we can have a little bit better sense on how we want to make this decision too. Outside of that, if there's any general questions on the project itself, happy to answer anything. Okay.
All right, if there's no more discussion, we're gonna move on to 7.4. Discussion and potential action regarding a second amendment to the funding agreement with, the Village of DeForest. So I'll let you introduce this one too.
Yeah, so in your packets, I included a memo and a preliminary draft of this agreement. Wanted to get it into packets so that you had a review of it. There's still some ongoing back and forth with the village administrator and the attorney to incorporate their feedback. I did send their revisions to you separately in an email. I don't know if any of you had the chance to look at it, but I've got it. I'll pull it up on screen here too, just so we can take a peek at that. What they sent back was a couple of changes in terms, and I'll just at a high level, part of the impetus for doing this was the original agreement that we executed with the village, said that if we didn't take out the $3.5 million construction loan by March 31st of 2026, which is in 19 days, then we would have to repay the $250,000 pre-development loan by June 30th of this year. Obviously, we haven't taken out the construction loan, so I wanted to get this to you all and to the village as soon as possible so that we would still be in compliance with the agreement. So the amendment changes some of those dates, pushes it out to a point where we will very easily hit those dates and can keep the project moving forward. There are also some alignment. So just to talk about how this is going to work when we eventually do secure tax credits, the CDA, we've created an LLC that has to develop the project. It's a taxable entity. And as part of that, we'll be bringing in an investor member, quote unquote, who will be purchasing the tax credits from us. And they'll be a part of that LLC. And so a lot of these changes are basically to smooth that process out so that when we get to financial closing with that investor and our various financing sources, we don't have anything in this agreement that would cause any hiccups. So their changes, oh, maybe this wasn't the red line version. Okay, this is a clean version. Sorry, bear with me. I gotta pull up the clean or the red line. Sure. Oh, I lost it. Sorry, Keith. I'm gonna stop sharing for just a second while I pull this up.
That's fine. No problem.
This is going to be on the village board agenda next week so that they can review this and hopefully approve as well. Maybe I don't have the. No, there's not, but I can probably talk through the changes easily enough. Oops. Okay, so their proposed changes that I felt were substantive, I'm sure they had a few cleanups here and there. Was a change here. So the initial agreement that I sent to you in packets defined us making repayment on the construction loan once we've reached 90% occupancy on the residential units for a minimum of 3 straight months and 50% occupancy on the commercial space for 3 straight months. The village removed the 50% occupancy on the commercial space for 3 straight months and just tied it to the residential, which I'm perfectly fine with. But that was a substantive change. The other one was I think this had initially said up to 75% of available cash flow. This changed it to hard 75%. The village wanted to be able to have approval rights to the eventual operating agreement with the investor member, which is reasonable. Obviously, they'll want to make sure that, you know, there's nothing in there that wouldn't be to their liking. And then I think I added to that they shouldn't be able to unreasonably withhold that approval. So generally speaking, their substantive changes I think are still a positive for us, and I feel good about where this is at. So happy to take any questions, but the resolution tonight is up for approval, and the document being approved is the revision that I sent you all in email. Yeah, I don't know. Did I have I didn't have a resolution, so it'd just be a motion to approve the amendment, excuse me.
You need a motion? I'll make a motion.
Okay, is there a second? Or-
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Right, motion carries. Next item is going into reports. So we've got item 8.1, Housing Division, updates for Jefferson Square and Yahara River Housing.
Yeah, so Demery sent me a update for Jefferson Square. There's still currently two units that are vacant. One is a unit that was smoked in, and they're still remediating the smoke damage from that unit. And the other unit was from a resident that recently passed. That was just turned over on March 1st, so they're beginning that process. She's hopeful that they're gonna get a deposit on that one in the next couple weeks. She says it's a very desirable location, and the floor plan is what most of the people that she's talked to on the list are looking for also. They transitioned away from Cam, the old maintenance guy. Bill is now there, full time for him, which is 5 hours a day. And I guess it's going along good with the residents, so that's good. And that's about it. Nothing else real note to for resident reactions or anything that's going on over there. As for
Alex, can I bring up one thing? And I know it's still next month. Is that still going to go through, that they're going to buy that or not?
Who's gonna buy what?
Well, Jefferson Square, they're going to purchase it, or Angels?
I don't know, but it'll probably be an item. Our next time to revisit that will probably be in May, just knowing their timing on
Okay.
their board meetings. I know they're still considering it.
All right.
Okay, next up is redevelopment division report.
I'm gonna just have Carol kind of touch on the finances for Jefferson Square first, if you wouldn't mind, and give a little update on her status as a employee of the village.
Oh. No, there really isn't much to update you on as far as the financials. I did put December's reports in the packets again. It's just to give you an updated look. Obviously, as we go through year end, things are changing. So I just want to keep you updated on where those are at. Obviously, they're still unaudited, so could potentially change again, but you do have December's in there and then January's, which, for that first month of the year, there's not usually anything too earth shattering happening. So nothing specific to report.
Thank you.
Did you want to just do redevelopment or you want?
No, I think you should give your update. You can't just leave
Lord.
people hanging off a cliff like that.
Well, getting to that point where retirement is starting to be very tempting. So Bill and I have had some conversations about how they want to proceed in terms of backfilling my role. And the board in this year's budget did approve another position within the finance area. So we have done interviews and made an offer, and we have an accepted offer for a finance director. So you will likely meet him next month. And I will step back into an assistant finance director role, and I don't have a retirement date. I'm just kind of preparing. So I will be around for a while. You just may not see me here in these meetings all the time.
She'll be in Thursday golf leagues instead.
Yeah, well, congratulations to that. Any camper in the parking lot yet?
Not yet. Maybe soon.
So yes, future congratulations. We'll give a preemptive congratulations.
You may
Can't leave yet.
get to a point where you guys start looking at me like, are you still here? Thought you were retiring.
The only other thing that I'll add on the Attic Angel front or the Jefferson Square front is that Carol and we've got a call next week to kind of coordinate on some cleanup on the how they've been accounting for new life lease revenue and how that gets allocated to capital budgeting. So it's likely that, or it's possible that we'll see some journal entries or some changes on statements going forward to just reflect getting things back to how we used to see them. So just I'll mention it when they do come into the statements, but just as a heads up.
Okay. We're on 8.2, right?
We'll do 8.1.2. So for the housing division, there's the Jefferson Square finances and then
So 8.12, Yahara River housing update.
Yeah, so Yahara River Housing, because it's only the 4 units, again, not much going on. The HVAC repair the other half of the furnace repair did show up on the balance sheet for 100 Meadow Lane, or 101, excuse me, Meadow Lane. Other than that, a lot of just same old, try and keep costs down and keep people happy. It did have some wind damage that I saw today. A resident reached out, so I'll be up there tomorrow to inspect and see to what extent that has or needs to be repaired, and look forward to some costs from that, I'm sure.
Yeah. Moving on, finally, just want to get there, I guess. 8.2, redevelopment division.
not a whole lot going on here. As Carol mentioned earlier, beginning of the year, January is about as slow as it gets. So I think we saw next to no activity in redevelopment. That will change very soon.
Got it. Thank you. And then moving on to 8.3, prudential investment statement, looking.
Still looking very good. Yeah, I think I want to say when I started a couple of years ago, or 3, however long it's been now, this was down under 1 million. So certainly it's been a good one.
All right, let's see. Now it looks like we're moving on to item 9 and we're gonna, we're going into closed session for this one.
Yeah, so potentially, I'll just kind of give a little bit of an intro and then my recommendation would be to move into closed session to continue discussion. As you know, we've been off and on entertaining discussions about selling the duplexes at Meadow Lane. Jay and I have had, we've showed the properties a couple times and have had discussions with various interested parties. We had another one more recently that we felt we needed to come to you all to really kind of understand how we should be negotiating on these. And so in order to just sort of preserve our negotiating power, I'd recommend moving into closed session to continue that discussion.
Is there a motion to enter into closed session?
I'll make a motion.
I'll make a motion. I'll
Okay.
second it.
All right, so we need to do roll call, right?
And then after the roll call, give me just a minute to get us into a breakout room.
Okay.
On Zoom side of things. All right, Commissioner Mancheski? I'm that good. Almost said Manwich. I must be hungry. Mancheski. Aye. Commissioner Wurzba,
Aye.
Commissioner Mankey,
Aye.
Commissioner Briggs,
Hi.
Commissioner Upataye.
Aye.
I was going to try to make an attempt. And Chairperson Williams.
Aye.
Great. So I have us going in at 6:40 p.m. And give me just 1 second.
lawfully comes before the authority tonight. Item 11.1, our next meeting is scheduled for April 16th, 2026. Anything else? Okay. If there's no further business, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, meeting adjourned 6:03 PM.